Hello, and welcome to Shady Talk Wednesday. Thanks, Mar, for such a cute intro. That that worked. Hello, and welcome to Shady Talk Wednesday. I am your lovely host, Miss No Shade But Shade. I am here today on this lovely Wednesday. And today we have such an interesting and great topic today. And I have had three lovely women to join us on today. And today's topic is about loving the beauty of loving a child with special needs. So today So today I have two lovely moms that's here, and I also wanted to bring this topic in this month because I know it's Mother's Day month. It's a very special month, and I wanted to give a extra appreciation and send some love to the women, the mom, the family members that's out there today who does have a child with a special need. So I'm gonna let you ladies introduce yourself as far as your name and your child's name and things like that, and then we could kind of start touching into the topic. So to my left in the blue, Miss Tabitha. Can you introduce yourself, Tab?
So my name is Tabitha. My name is Tabitha Mealy, and I am the proud mother of two children, two daughters. My oldest being Joy, right here, and my youngest is Jordan. And we'll talk a little bit more about what Joy's disability is once we get started.
Okay, cool. Next we have Miss Tara.
Hi, my
Hi.
name is Tyra, and my only child is Davon.
Okay.
I like to think that he's like, I don't even know what I like to think about him because everywhere I go, he's at my hip, except for right now.
Oh, okay. So he's not with you today.
He's here, but
Okay.
he's downstairs and I'm upstairs, so I
Okay.
feel like he's not with me because I'm so used to him being next to me.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I guess we could talk about his as we go further in,
Okay.
speak on his situation too.
Okay. So as I stated, I know this month was Mother's Day month, so I figure instead of just doing a regular Mother's Day show, I wanted to do, mothers who are raising or who has a child that does have a disability. And I just wanted, this show to be about, telling us the goods, the bad, to reaching out to other moms who have the same experience and may not have anybody to talk to or any resources you guys may have or any resources you guys are looking for. Maybe someone in the comment that's watching somewhere, could give you guys some information as well. So I just wanted to do that today with you ladies. So you two ladies, I have seen and I do know somewhat personally and have seen, in passing and know that you two women does have a child with a special need. So I it's my pleasure to have you two, you three, and Joy herself on
Mhm.
the show today. Thank you once again for joining me and coming out on this platform with me and just talking a little bit about, having a child with special needs. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that I am a little familiar with children with special needs. Not that I have one, but because I've worked in a facility with some called North Jersey Development Center.
Mhm.
We're closed down now due to Governor Christie closed us, but I must say my experience with working with children who does have a special need or a special disability was a very amazing, loving, situation for me. I mean, I love that job. I missed that job. I thought I was going to be at that job forever. Even while I was working at that job, I wind up being a volunteer for one of the residents that was there in the facility, and we're still very close. I mean, we haven't seen as much each other as much since the pandemic, but when I was working there, I did volunteer to be her volunteer, and take her places, and we got so close that I got close to the family and the mom, and now all of us go out and we still reach out to one another, and we still do things. We still get together around the holidays and things like that. So I know it's a special privilege to have a special needed child as well. I know even though sometimes it can be a little complicated, a little frustrated, because guess what? We have the same thing with our children too as well. So I just wanted you ladies to just come on and just, like I explained, give us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your children or your child, and just, tell us. I don't know if you ladies want to start from birth or, I'm not sure, I know Tabitha, I believe Joy was, I'm not sure, so I'm not going to say I believe she was. So I guess maybe you can go into telling your story as far as, Joy. Give us a little background about your Joy, which is such a beautiful name, Joy.
Okay. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for that. And I do want to start by saying I am so grateful that you have provided an opportunity for Tara and myself to speak about our experience, because there's not enough of this.
Right.
And I feel so often that our situation is just kind of overlooked, unless you are in that field and you've had some experience, so you understand the challenges that exist day to day for both Joy as a person living with a disability or with some limitations, and me as a parent, and us as parents.
Okay.
So Joy was born at 24 weeks gestation. I was doing everything right in my pregnancy. At the time, I was exercising on a regular basis. I wasn't indulging in anything that could affect the pregnancy. But at 24 weeks, I was experiencing some problems or some pains. I don't remember exactly what it was. And I went to my gynecologist and my OBGYN, and she said, you know what, you have to go to the hospital right now. I get to the hospital and they run some tests. And the next thing I know, my doctor is coming into the room and she's telling me, you have to have your baby right now. You have to go into the delivery room to have your baby. I just remember thinking to myself, this can't be happening not to me. I did everything right, and I'm only 24 weeks pregnant. How could this have happened to me? And I remember calling my husband at the time, and he came to the hospital, and she says to me, we don't have time to do a C-section. If we do a C-section, or give me a minute.
Okay. Take your time.
Okay. Give me a minute. Okay.
Take
I'm
your
not gonna
time.
cry. Okay. Let me just.
And guess what? If you want to
Okay.
cry, it's okay. We here.
I just remember her telling me that if we do a C-section,
Okay.
you and the baby both are going to die.
Okay.
And so at the time, you thinking, I don't want to die,
Right.
right? So I said, okay. So she said, you're just gonna have to have it, the natural way.
Okay.
So, we went into to the delivery room, and it took some time. I don't remember how many hours. And the next thing you know, I'm shooting out this baby at 24 weeks. So I couldn't hold her at the time because she was only a pound, and I want to say 24 ounces. 1 pound, 24 ounces. You can literally hold her in one hand. And I remember them showing her to me and them taking her off and into ICU, and that was it. And so that started just my life had to go into this pattern of going to the hospital every day because she spent 3 months in the hospital. I had her in May,
Mm-hmm.
and she did not leave the hospital until the end of September because,
Oh.
again, she had to go into an incubator. They had to continue to help her to breathe. There was some days I would go to the hospital and they would tell me today, she had a good day. It wasn't such a good day, and whatever that meant. I don't know if it meant she wasn't breathing on her own, but she was on an incubator. And it just was, just my life was a roller coaster, day in and day out. I never knew what I was going to get when I went to the hospital every day.
Mm-hmm.
But she thrived. And that was one of the things, and I must say this, that the staff at St. Barnabas Hospital, they were incredible because they never, ever allowed me to lose hope. They were realistic about what was going on, but they never allowed me to lose hope.
Okay.
And some days I would go in, they would never tell me that she may not make it. They would just say, today was not a good day for her.
Okay.
So fast forward, she, by the time she left the hospital, May, June, July, or 3 months later, she had gotten up to maybe 8 pounds.
Wow.
And yeah.
Wow.
Yes. When she left, she got up to 8 pounds. And so, I couldn't do the normal things that a mom would do. Like there was no breastfeeding while she was in the hospital, and while she was cooking, I always tell her she had to finish baking in the hospital because she couldn't finish baking in mom's oven. So anyway, she, while she was, developing, I couldn't do the breastfeeding or any of that. And so she came home. So she came home and I did whatever the doctors encouraged me to do. But then I noticed that Joy, at 1 year, she wasn't walking, and I was still carrying her. And they didn't tell me at the time that she had cerebral palsy, but I knew that her development was not what it should be at the time because I had been exposed to other children. So I think we got a little past 1 year, and I went to the neurologist, and that's when they told me that Joy has cerebral palsy. And I didn't know what that meant. At the time, I was a young mother, but they did tell me that what happened was when I was delivering her, she hit her head down the birthing canal, and she got what's called a grade 4 bleed on the brain, which is equivalent to like a stroke.
Okay.
And that stroke caused some brain damage. The brain damage caused what's called cerebral palsy. And like I said, I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I did know that, at the time I was thinking, okay, my child is going to be retarded. That's all I kept thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a bad word, but we talked about that. I didn't know any better. I didn't know, but that's what I kept thinking at the time, right, because I didn't know. But only little did I know that, what was considered retarded was not what I knew I wasn't going to allow my child to be. I wasn't going to let her, I wasn't going to tuck her into a room, in a bedroom, into the house, and just not help her to be the best that she can be. Right. So retarded was a word that kind of went out of my vocabulary. And I knew that she was a child that lived with a disability. She was going to have some limitations. And so, I'll let Tara talk about how her situation came to be, but there was many more things, events that happened after that I can go into, mm-hmm, that helped me to really be the person who was Joy's biggest. I was rooting for Joy, okay, and I never, ever, ever, ever stopped believing in her. I was her biggest fan. I was her greatest supporter, and I wasn't going to allow. Yep. Aww. I wasn't going to allow anyone to tell me that because she had these disabilities that she was not able to be in the community, be a part of the community, and really contribute to the world. Right. And so that's my take on it. It was my take then, and it will always be my belief system about Joy and any other child living with a disability.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
Joy, I see you have such I see you have such a connection with mommy as well.
Mhm. I do.
Yeah. So what would
Yeah.
you like to say, Joy?
Oh, okay.
Are you
Um, I I never been on a broadcast before though. This is my first time being
okay?
on a broadcast.
Oh wow. Well, I would like to thank you for joining me today, Joy. I appreciate it. So
As you as well. Um, living with cerebral palsy have taught me the things like I can do and the things that I can't not do.
oh wow. Wow. Okay, Joy. Wow. That's good to hear, Joy. So basically you're telling us you understand what you can't do and what you can do and what you cannot do.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to tell me a few things that you can do?
Um,
Or how about what you like to do?
I like to dance.
Oh, okay. All right. I like to
Get
dance
it from
too,
her
Joy.
mama.
No, I don't.
So you a dancer, huh? So you
Yes,
enjoy music.
yes.
Okay. Who's your
I
favorite
enjoy
artist?
music. Taylor Swift.
Oh, Taylor Smith? Tell
No, Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, Taylor Swift. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Well, guess what, Joy? You said it correct. It's just that I don't know a lot of these artists' names like that.
Oh my God.
All right, so Taylor Swift. All right. What's
Yeah.
your favorite song by her?
Um. Oh God. If I have to pick one, um, style or welcome to New York.
Oh, okay. Welcome to New York. Okay, then, Joy. Thank you so much, Joy, for joining us. But I don't want you to leave. We just want to talk to Miss Tara so we can get a little background of her story, too. Okay?
All right.
And then I'm going to come back to you and let you continue to tell me a little bit more about you. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Joy.
You're welcome.
Okay, Miss Tara, can we hear a little bit from you?
Yes, sure can. My listening to her story, mine is a little different because Davon wasn't born with his situation. His situation happened 5 years ago.
Okay.
And he was a perfectly healthy kid, never had any situations other than regular things that kids have like colds or stuff like that over the years. So he never really had any issues.
Mm-hmm.
At the time he was in college and he was one semester away from graduating, and he also was training because he wanted to play ball overseas.
Okay, can I ask how
Mhm.
old is he?
He's 28 now.
Okay, so
At
when
the
this
time
happened, he
at the
was.
time that this happened, he was 23.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he was 23 years old at the time that this happened. And that particular day was it was crazy because I was just arguing with him about taking out the trash that morning.
Uh-huh.
And then I went off to work, and then I come home, and I was, for some reason I was so tired that day and I fell asleep, and I guess people were trying to call me and
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't get through to me. And when I did answer the phone, normally, we don't answer calls from unknown numbers.
Right.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And someone called me, so I answered the call, and the young lady was saying, letting me. She asked me who was. I his mom, and I was like, yeah, who is this? She was like, well, your son was playing basketball at school 30, and he stopped breathing. They took him to the hospital, and I said, my son, and I said, I don't think you got the right person, because first of all, when I thought about school 30, I'm thinking about high school kids or little kids up there playing ball. I'm not thinking of my child being there.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I don't have it. Then she said, is your son like 16, 17? I'm like, I don't have a 16 or 17-year-old. So, I'm thinking she doesn't know what she's talking about. And I'm getting annoyed because I answered this unknown caller, and then I don't know what's going on.
Right.
But in the midst of while I'm steady talking to her, I happen to look at my phone and I see the text messages saying they trying to call you, something happened to Devon. So then when she started describing him, and she said that he, and I said, yeah, yes, that's my son. And I said, where did he go? And then it was like they took him to before she even finished the conversation, I dropped the phone.
Okay.
I immediately dropped the phone. And then I started freaking out, and then I knew I couldn't drive. So I called my girlfriend to come to take me. When she finally arrived and we got there, she was like, what hospital? I said, I will assume St. Joe's, like, because I never even got any more information. And when I walked into St. Joe's and they were rushing me back to speak to, it was like so many doctors and all these people. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And when I look at him, he's hooked up to like all these tubes. And I'm like, what the hell just happened from this morning to now? And then apparently I get the information that he was playing basketball and he collapsed and he had a heart attack. And then when he collapsed in the gym, they thought he was playing because Devon is a jokester, so he plays a lot. So they thought he was playing, so no one offered any aid to him. So while he was unconscious on the floor, I was told that off-duty firemen happened to be coming into the school to pick up his son and saw him there. And he asked the kids, like, what's going on? Why he on the ground? They like, oh, he playing, he gonna get up. He's like, no, he's not getting up. And he, I guess, did his vitals or whatever. And he told me that he began start doing CPR on him and called for help. In the meantime, he was down for 20 minutes. So he lost 20 minutes of oxygen to his brain. So by the time he got to the hospital, en route to the hospital, he had a seizure. Then once he got to the hospital, his kidneys failed, his lungs failed, and his heart was failing. And the first thing they telling me, asking me, did he have heart issues? And I'm like, no, he never had any type of issue. And then they started telling me he may need a heart transplant. And I'm like, are you kidding me? A heart transplant? Like somebody has to actually die for you to get a heart. So I'm like, a heart transplant. Then they come with the kidneys. I'm like, okay, this is not, I felt like I was in a bad movie. Yeah. This is just crazy because everything was being thrown at me all at once. And I'm being talked to by all these different doctors and I'm steady telling them, I don't know. Like he never had anything. So I just didn't understand. In the meanwhile, while he was there, they had him on a coolant. They were trying to get his heart regulated, all of his organs. Then he had developed pneumonia in the lungs, had fluid buildup. And being that he's 6'5", they had to order a rotomotor bed. And this bed, you put them in and they rotate them like my girlfriend says it's like a rotisserie chicken because you're rotating them to get the fluid out. So the bed had to be flown in and it took about 6 hours to put this bed together with him in it to get the lungs. So after they got the fluid out and then everything, like within that week, everything started getting right. Like the heart started being fine, his kidneys started being fine, the lungs were fine. And then it was the thing of his brain because he was down for so long. After numerous tests, then they come and they speak to me and they tell me, they said, basically your son is brain dead. Like he's no longer. He's never gonna do this. He's never gonna do that. He's never gonna do, like, this is it. And basically leaving the decision whether I want to leave him on the machines, just let him go. Well, his father was freaking out. And for some reason, because I'm normally not calm like that, but I had a sense of calm, like, like this is my only child.
Right.
I can't see myself making a decision to pull a plug on him. Because prior to his situation, probably a few years back, I was in that same room making that decision for my father. So I couldn't see me making that decision for him. And he was 23, he's young. And I'm like, he's young. And you're saying everything, his organs is working properly. And they're like, yeah, but the brain is this and blah, 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 and all that. So I told him, I said, well, you may say that this is the end. But God says this is not
Amen.
the end.
Amen.
So
Amen.
I don't know if you believe,
Mhm.
that's not what we're gonna do here.
That's right.
So
That's right.
it was like I don't know what to say. Like at that point, I was like, okay, God, I believe, I'm faithful, and you got to tell me what to do
Yeah.
because I don't know what to do at this point or what I should do. And I know at that time, once they give you that diagnosis that the person is no longer, they're not going to do anything else. They're just going to maintain until you figure out what you want to do.
Right.
So after a while, when it's like I couldn't figure out, they're like, well, you either can take him to a long care facility, like he can't stay here. And then no long-term facility, they didn't want to take him because he didn't have any, like we were trying to get him in Kessler, and they didn't want to take him at first because he didn't have no signs of any type of movement or anything. He was still in a coma. So as I prayed and I prayed, and I'm like, okay, something has to give. It can't be like he goes from birth to his 23rd year and this is it. Like it gotta be more. Like he's a good kid. So his life can't end right here. So eventually, while I was sitting next to his bed, and Davon knew everybody. Like he was just that popular kid. He knew everybody. And for some reason, this lady came up to me and then she asked me, was I his mother? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, apparently somebody that your son knows, that knows somebody on the board of director of Kessler, they made a decision to take him. Where they denied him, they made a decision to take him.
Okay.
And I said, when are they going to take him? She's like, we're going to take him tomorrow. We're going to take him. And I said, well, who is the lady? She said, I have no idea. Somebody that your son know. And like I said, Davon knew so many people. I didn't know half the people that he knew. So to this day, I still don't know who this lady is that made this call. I've been trying to find this lady. And even when he was moved to Kessler, and when I got there, all these people was making such a big fuss. And I find out that they were making a fuss. And she said, yeah, because we got a call that a basketball player was coming here. And we had to put him in a private room, get everybody on staff in line, get things set up for him and his mom. And I'm like, a basketball player, like, trying to figure out. So they thought it was like somebody famous that was coming. And then once we got there, they talked me down and they asked me, because I never left his side. From the day that I walked into St. Joe's, I never left his side. I stayed there day and night, slept on those chairs, moved to Kessler, stayed there for the duration that he was there, because my thing is I just didn't trust everybody to care for my child the way that I would care for him. So I wanted to be there. It's like, if he got to be here, I got to be here.
Right.
So once he was there, he wasn't even in Kessler. The first day he got there, and they checked him and did everything, and the lady said, oh wow, she said his skin is just phenomenal. Like his body is like, normally when people been in the hospital for a month and they come here, they have a decline or something. I said, no, because I cared for my child while I was at the hospital. So I took care of his skin. I made sure, I did all those things. So when he got there, like the next day they came to me and they told me that when they trached him, that whoever trached him, they put the trach too big and it sat on his vocal cords. So if he wanted to say something, he couldn't say something. So they had to remove it and give him a smaller trach. And they said, if you start hearing him moaning or making sounds, then that's a good thing. Not even been there he'd been there a full period, I started making sound. Probably a couple weeks later, he came out of his coma. And then when he came out, we do the different tests to see where he's at. I was just so excited that he came out. I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
That's right. That's right.
And then we had to deal with the next step of him not having any mobility. He lost all his mobility. He lost his vision. And he lost all of his memories of his whole entire life. So it's like, wow, like, is my child even going to know who I am? And, and even now, I can't even remember if he knew who we were or if they told him who we were. I know he know who we are now, but it was just thing, but for some reason, the brain is so tricky that
Mm-mm.
he couldn't remember anything in his life or whatever happened yesterday, and still can't. But he remembered every song because he was really heavily into music, and he remembered every song that he knew before he knew that. Like
Uh-huh.
when they started talking to him, he sung the entire Fresh Prince theme song
Uh-huh.
in its
Wow.
entirety. And I was like, whoa.
Uh-huh.
And then we put the TV in front of him and put on Martin because Martin was one of his favorite shows.
Mhm.
And he knew like the scenes before they was gonna happen.
Mm.
So that was like, okay, we hopeful we're gonna see, what goes from there. And they started, therapy and pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. And it's like, okay. So, everybody told me like I guess people looking at me like I was crazy because I quit my job. Like
Uh-huh.
before he even got to Kessler, we was in St. Joe's like the
Mhm.
second, third day. I was like, I ain't going back to work. I
Uh-huh.
quit.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Because at that time I knew if he came through this, he was gonna need help.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
You
didn't
wanted
feel
to
like
be
I
the
could be on
one.
anybody's job and
Hmm.
be focused when
Right.
my mind was on my child.
Right.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I just said, and they like, you gonna quit your job? What you gonna do for money? I'm like, I don't know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
over the years, I've been laid off on so many jobs and God always pulls me through. So I'm gonna let him work that out and I'm gonna do what I need to do on this end and I'll figure it all out and see, how it is. But I just knew that whatever it took that I had to do for mine, I was
You
doing
was
it.
gonna
Right.
do
And
it.
I'm still doing it. And I have to say that it's a very hard thing.
Yeah, because that was
Be-
actually going to be my next question for you ladies. What is your biggest challenges as a mom?
Can I just say, I want to say this about what Tara said, just to piggyback. That's one of the things, like when they told you that he would never do, this and that, you believed. And I remember the same message was given to me. And I remember praying that, Lord, I will take her dumb, crippled, or crazy, but please don't take her away.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that it was going to be different. I knew I had a different, that it wasn't going to be what I knew to be normal in raising a child, but I just was so open, and it was my only child at the time, my first child, and I was open too. Like I just did not want to I just did not want to give up on her. And still to this day, I still don't want to give up on her. And when you talk about like challenges, I would say that the greatest challenge in raising a child in the beginning, I was embarrassed.
Mm.
And I would go places and I would just, because Joy wasn't walking and because she looked different,
Mm-hmm.
I would get the stares.
Mm-hmm.
I would get people kind of looking and pitying me. And at the time I was young, I knew I loved my baby, but I just was just too preoccupied with people looking at me and pitying me and looking at her because something looks
Different.
funny about her.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people, I've overheard conversations where like kids would be looking like, Mommy, what's wrong with her? Why does she look like that? And they're only children, they don't really understand. But then, with me being a mom, sometimes I would just kind of look at them like, you know what? I would look at the parent like, you know what? You need to teach your children better manners.
Right.
But I've come to understand that they're only children. They didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the challenge in the beginning. And then over the years, I would say that, and Tara, I'm telling you, I commend the fact that you quit your job. What I had on my side and that I did not have to quit at the time was I just took a leave and they allowed me to take a leave. And then even once she came home, they allowed me to work from home. So, when she was in the hospital for the 3 months, it was traveling back and forth. I would come to work. I would come into Patterson where I lived at the time, and then I would go to St. Barnabas Hospital. And at the time I needed to go to work because I would sit there every day and cry. And when I was not caring for her, I was pitying myself. The emotional roller coaster was hell for me. I'll never forget that. And then I would just, go to work, and then my boss gave me the flexibility where I could just kind of leave a half a day some days, or if I was there and I was too upset, he would let me go. So the work life balance was a challenge. But then over the years, I've been able to maintain my job because I've had autonomy with Joy. And I did, and since she was a little girl, I've always had a home health aide. In the beginning, they came, and I was working with early intervention at the time, who they were very good with finding me resources. Joy had all her therapies like very young. They was giving her physical therapy, occupational therapy. And so we really jumped in and kind of early on. And I think that that's the thing that has helped Joy to become as independent as she is, getting those interventions very early. But then, again, with my job, they allowed me, some of the flexibility. And so while it was challenging to work and still, make sure she was getting everything she needed, I just knew always in the forefront of my mind that the priority was Joy getting what she needed to get. And if I had to leave work, sometimes I had eaten up all my sick time, my vacation time. But if I had to leave work to go to a meeting at school, if I had to leave work, to come home because the home health aide couldn't be here, or I couldn't get a family member, I just always made sure that she was the priority. And it still continues to be a challenge. And Tara, and I'm sure you can relate to this, you get to a certain, like, I look at my youngest daughter, who is now very independent. She's in her car today, down at the beach and doing whatever she wants to do. But with Joy, I have to plan whenever she's going to any type of an outing. I have to make sure she gets there. I have to oversee, when she has like, dates or, dates with friends, and it's just me. I will always, in some sense, I feel like I will always, have a
to guide
child,
her.
because I have to be there and I have to be the one overseeing her life, unless one of the things we talked about is down the line, Joy is open to the possibility of going into a facility where she has roommates.
Okay.
And so that's something we're thinking, that down the line she would be open to do. And let me just say this, one of the reasons why I've been thinking about this is because the reality of it is someday I'm not going to be here.
Right.
And someday her dad is not going to be here.
Right.
And so when you're talking about, making those arrangements, and it was tough. It was tough thinking about it. Those arrangements for when I'm no longer, I had to kind of dig into like, so what family member would take her? And I'm thinking like, I have siblings, but all of them are pretty much my age, and you just kind of never know what's going to happen. And then I thought about her younger sister, and I had to think about, well, do I want to put that on her life?
Right.
And so we had to really explore, what that's going to mean. And Joy, we can talk a little, you can tell them about how you came to being okay with the fact that someday you may be living out on your own. I know, but it's okay.
I'm about to cry right now.
Okay, but you okay?
No, seriously, I am about to.
Well, guess what, Joy? Guess what, Joy? I know, as far as living in a facility on your own, with me working at the facility that I used to work at, we used to take residents to visit other homes like that they were or may one day, or some of them did go into those those living homes, to where is that though that they are more responsible for themselves a little more. They get to do things, they get to be with their peers. To me, it's just like, you're in your own place, but you just have a supervision there, you know. But it was fun. They did all the things that, you know, we do regular when you are home. They did cookouts, they did outings, they, you know, they watched TV all night. They, you know, had little pajama parties. They celebrated their birthdays together. Their families came for the parties in the backyard or whatever. So even with the living homes, you know, that your mom is talking about, or you and your mom have talked about, I have went and experienced some beautiful homes, and you know how some of the residents really enjoy, you know, living out on their own. I have experienced to where as though sometimes their parents would come and they didn't want their parents there. They like,
Exactly.
no,
Yeah.
go home, you know, like this my chill week. So just in case you do decide, Joy, that that will be one of your options, I think it's a beautiful thing if you would ever like to try it. Like your mom said, you know, I think it's a good thing, Tab, that you know, you trying to put that in place just in case before you go, after you go. And like I said, from my experience of going to those facilities and those homes like that, it was a very beautiful experience. I've also worked in one to where as though that they get up, they cook, they make their own breakfast, they kind of just do what they want to do. So Joy, I'm here to encourage you. If you do decide to make those decisions, it will also be a beautiful thing for you too, to go and experience and have a good time and get to do things without your mommy, Joy.
Yes. And I'll have to call you when I want to visit because they did make it clear to me that I can't pop up.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
They did make it clear to me. So
See, Joy, you already got a good foot in, Joy.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
And you said you like to party, you like music.
do. Yeah.
I'm quite sure some of your peers love music too. Everybody loves a good house party.
Yes. Who doesn't?
I
love a
know,
good
I know.
house
That's what I'm
party?
saying.
And you know, let me say, who knew? Like back in early when I was in college some years back, some many years ago, I worked in a group home too.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, you know, like just doing activities with the residents. And who knew fast forward that I would have to be dealing with the same thing? I believe that divine order took place. God exposed me. And I never would have thought at that time when I did have children that I would end up having a special needs child. Who would have thought it? I mean, I guess you can't plan for events in your
Right.
life,
Right.
but yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, Tara, you want to tell us a little bit of challenging things for you?
For me, the challenge is because his situation, he became disabled at 23. There wasn't a lot of resources for him.
Okay.
So everywhere I went, it was a dead end because the first thing they ask you, what was the date of his disability or at what age?
Mhm.
Now, if he was born disabled,
Yeah.
then there were the resources, but the resources cut off at I think 21.
Mm.
So he just missed the cut.
Okay.
So everything that everybody was telling me, like, oh, you can get help for this, you can get help for this, and you know they got this, and then I'm
Wow. So they
contacting
make
all
that an
these-
age limit too?
yes. So
Wow.
every time I reached out to all the programs that everybody was throwing at me that had all the resources and the help and all that stuff, it wasn't for me. Because his thing happened at age 23. He had to be 21 and under.
Mm.
Even the programs that they had to help you financially, same thing, 21 and under.
Wow.
So I was kind of on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have all those things. So I still doing. I have to do everything on my own. Like we signed up for the funny thing is the day that they kept saying to me when he was at Kessler, when it started getting down to his time to go, that they recommended him going to a long-term facility. And I
Okay.
said, that's not an option for me. And they kept bringing it up to me. And I said, that's not an option for me. I said, I don't know about nobody, but Black people, I said, well, for me and my family, we bring our
Yeah.
people home.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not putting my child in a facility because for me, I've heard so many stories.
Okay.
And I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't want that to be my child. So I'm bringing home. And they kept telling me it's going to be hard. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. And I kept saying, well, anything worth having is hard.
It's hard.
Mhm.
It's going to be
Yeah.
hard work. You got to work
Mhm.
at it. It's never going to be easy.
Right.
So I kept saying, no, 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 I'm not putting it. I said, instead of you trying to discourage me, how about you just encourage me to what we need to do for bringing him home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's going home. When
Right.
if he leaves here, he's going home. That's not an option.
Mhm.
And they thought I was crazy. They kept sending shrinks to me. All these people kept coming to me trying to shrink me. And I'm like, no, no,
Mhm.
no,
Mhm.
it doesn't change. This is what it is. So
Mhm.
I decided, like, I want to bring him home. And when I tell you, when they set up everything to bring him home, the day they set up for the home health aide, before we even started, they had a problem with the home health aide because they couldn't get anybody that would want to come to Paris.
Mm.
Then once we got all that stuff worked out and it's time to go home, the day we go home, everybody quit. The
What?
home it was crazy. I didn't have the nurse wasn't coming, the home health aide ain't coming, the transportation to take us home ain't coming.
That's
Every-
crazy.
It was like a whole thing. And I think I just cried. Like, this cannot be happening right now. That everything that's being set up, I said, this ain't nothing but the devil.
Mhm.
It's trying
Yeah.
to break me.
Yeah.
And everything is going wrong. So finally, Kessler found one of their drivers to bring us home. And then they said, we're going to work on getting the aides again and getting this stuff again. Well, we were home and I didn't get another aide for months. And when I got home, because I was at Kessler and I was doing everything, learning everything and doing everything there. This is my first time. I don't know about this stuff. And I got home and I'm like, I could do this. I got this. And, it's going to be this, this, and that. Girl, I got home and reality set in.
Mhm.
I cried and I cried. Everything that I did at Kessler that looked like it was doable, it was falling apart at home.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, this ain't working. I'm like, but it worked when we was here. And this ain't working and this ain't working. And it was just, and I started second guessing myself, like, can I really do this?
Mhm.
Because this is not working. But I mean, I kept praying and praying and praying. Then finally, we get an aide, but it became multiple different aides in and out. It was like a coming in and out the door. It just
Wow.
didn't work. Like, the fit just didn't work.
Mhm.
And I couldn't find anybody. They couldn't do the hours, or the fit didn't go. Then you had like one young lady, she didn't want to work. Then you had another young lady, she wanted to basically abuse my child right in front of me. And I had to call them immediately, like, don't send her back because I'm gonna go to jail.
Right.
I
Mhm.
literally had to I
That's
had to
right.
throw her out my door, like, you can't come back.
Uh-huh.
It started becoming so frustrated that I just couldn't get the proper help and just to do anything. And then I got like, I'm trying to have family members, anybody that can come and help. I just didn't have the proper help that I need. So
Mhm.
at one point I told his case manager, I said, listen, how can I get paid to do the job?
Right.
Because I can't,
Yeah.
I don't trust nobody at this point.
That's
Like,
right.
I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
can't, like, my trust factor was on high alert. And to be honest with you, it's still on high alert 5 years later. And I'm working on that because I don't trust nobody
Mhm.
with my
Mhm.
child. I really don't.
Mhm.
So that's where I started like really falling into that. And I say this all the time, like, taking care is not so much of taking care of your child, but it's everything with a child. It's the child itself, the business of the child.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like I need an assistant now because
Mhm.
I spend so much
Mhm.
time on the phones every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like a quick get on the phone, talking on the phone. I feel like I'm on a conference call every day,
Yeah.
and for different things, whether it's medication, trying to get doctor's appointments, trying to dispute bills, trying to do this, trying to do that. I'm driving, I'm on the phone. So when I get home, I don't even want to talk to nobody
Right.
because it's just a constant thing all the time.
Wow.
Like, everything for him is a constant struggle all the time. So I have challenges every day.
Uh-huh.
I can't even pinpoint the one challenge because it's a challenge day. And I have to say, I cry every single day.
Oh.
I
So
do not
Mhm.
I do not go a day without crying.
okay.
Every single day. It's just hard.
Okay.
And as much as I love family, friends, and this, and that,
Mhm.
I don't feel like it's they want to help, but it's sometimes it just don't work out that way.
Right. Yep. Yep.
And sometimes you feel like, you don't want to bother anybody. So you just, for me, I'm very independent. I'm very on doing my own thing. Even before they mind, I never really ask for help. I just, if it's the situation, I take care of it.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's always been my thing. And letting go is not one of my strong suits.
Right.
Patience is not one of my strong suits.
Mhm.
So those are the things that I have to really work on and loosening up the grip a little bit
Mhm.
to trust me
Okay.
Yeah.
because I don't trust anybody.
Okay. So
But
I
you know
will
what,
trust
Tara,
anybody.
I must say this. Oh, you hit it right on the head. And that is such a testimony for us as parents. It is a daily cross to carry.
yeah,
It
it
is
is.
right. It is a daily cross to carry. And some days, some moments you smiling and you can have a good time. And then the next moment you ask God, why me? Like
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, in the beginning, I was like, why me? But it is a daily cross to carry. And I tell you, your situation is different from my situation. Nonetheless, it is still we both, I think that we can feel each other in terms of how it absorbed, it sucks us in because
Yeah.
you're right. We have to deal with the business side of it. We're making the appointments, we're taking them to the appointments. We have to make sure they're getting their money, whether it's SSI or other funding. We spend, again, if I did not have the job I had where I can take some time during the day to get on the phone, I don't know where I would be. I probably would be doing PP myself, personal preference program. I would probably be doing that also. But it is a daily cross. And sister, let me tell you, my heart goes out to you whenever I see you out and I see you with Davon, right? Davon is his name, and I see you and I'm thinking, wow, but for grace, there goes I, because Joy could have been in a situation where I had to wheel her around,
Right.
or, and again, any of us with children, anybody out there listening, you never know what a day is going to bring. You had a day when you was fussing with your son about taking the garbage out, and then hours later, here you are wondering if he's even going to be alive. And so I'm so glad that you said God,
Right.
that you did, that your faith, that we get through this every day but God. That's so real, is but God. And so I tell you, pray for me, sister, and I'll pray for
I
you.
definitely will.
And let's keep this thing going.
I
Let's,
agree.
I pray your strength. I really
Thank
do.
you. Yours as
So,
well.
Thank you.
So, ladies, in closing, because I think I got about 6 minutes, I just want to ask one question. If there was anything that you guys could ask for as as being a mom who cares,
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
They didn't want to know me thing.
Yeah. Yep, it is. It tugs on your heart.
And want to know me thing.
Yep.
I'm such a crybaby too. If there's anything that you moms could ask for, what would be one wish that can help you?
I know right now for Joy, she desires more than anything to have a job, right? We have been seeking employment. Joy has been out of high school since what? When did you graduate?
2019.
2019. And currently, but I must say this, there's a woman who owns a small store in Montclair. And she has graciously allowed Joy to come in one afternoon a week, right? She's going tomorrow. And she allows Joy to come in. She teaches her, how to, stock shelves and do the cash register. She has been such a blessing. But we have been seeking, more hours somewhere. So if we can find someone that can possibly give Joy an opportunity to come in and work.
Wait, but I told you, Miss Danielle found me a job.
Oh, she did find you a job.
Yes.
All right, see, but I thought that was volunteering. All right, so let's go. See, I stand corrected.
Okay, Joy.
So Joy is, all right, so if this job doesn't work out, if anybody out there knows of someone who is open to employ someone with special needs, but someone who is very reliable, Joy is reliable, she gets it done, then please, that will be a wish. That would be my wish.
Okay, how about you, Tara?
Oh, wow. Other than the obvious, for my child, I think it would be, for me, is just getting time
Okay.
for myself. I don't get no time for myself to do anything for me, whether it's get my hair done, my nails done, my feet done, get a massage, nothing. I get no self-care for myself at all because I'm so consumed with my son. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm Davon. I go to bed, I'm Davon. Like I'm constantly consumed with him. So sometimes I feel like I can't even breathe. So I need, because as they say, you have to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't be nothing to them. So for me, I have to have that motivation to say, it's okay. I need to take time for myself. And I'm trying that with trying to take a trip or something. But even with that, my anxiety is on edge, because I'm like, who's gonna do this? Who's gonna do that? Like, I'm constantly trying to figure these things out, and I have to realize I don't have to do it all. So, but I feel like I have to do it all because it's just me.
Right.
Like ain't nobody gonna love my child the way I love my child. So I have to do I feel like I have, like they say, you just want to be in control. I have to be in control, because if I'm not in control, who's going to be in control?
Right.
So with me being in control of everything for him, it takes away me doing for myself.
Okay.
I don't get the time to do for myself at all. So if I was able to get consistently time to do for myself, that would be helpful for me.
Okay. Well, I'm such a crybaby too. But I want to thank y'all for joining my Shady Talk Wednesday with such a great topic. I pray that it reached some parents. I pray that it reached some resources. I pray that God continue to give you parents strength and understanding, and continue to give you a genuine love. Tara, I pray somebody comes in your life that you trust, that can help you. Joy. I pray for your job. Thank you, ladies, for joining in with me. Have a good night. Thank you so much. I'll stay in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.